I played Joey Diaz. He is a 17-year-old boy who is dating Maria, and in the movie they are in a relationship and get pregnant. Joey, at the beginning of the movie, is kind of timid, kind of shy. He wants to be able to provide for Maria, but doesn't know how exactly to go about doing that. He just knows that he wants to be with Maria. Once he realizes that he's going to have a family, we see in the movie him going to Empower to Employ, which is where he wants to try and get a job. You hear him talking to Maria and how he wants to have a family with her and how he wants to support her. So we see these direct choices, these choices that he is making to try and support Maria by trying and getting a job and trying to spend more time with her and her family and standing up for what he knows he has to do, basically. I remember when I first got the script and I first started reading the story, I was interested because it's multi-plot. It's a multi-plot story versus having one central direct character or two central direct characters. We've got several lead characters, so I was interested in seeing how the multi-plot would interact. My first expectations is I knew it would be a difficult film to make, just because of what we had and what the script called for. But I knew it would be interesting, and I was very excited to see the final product, to see how the multi-plot turned out. I remember our first day on set, and it was a long day. It was, to be modest, it was a long day. But then seeing the progress from that first day to the final day, and how our final product looks, I was blown away. It was very encouraging because there were definitely doubts during the time, but it was very encouraging to see how the final product turned out and how everybody was working on the final day as well. There were two things. There were two things that were very difficult for me. The first thing was I had never done a romantic role, anything that had anything to do with romance. That was very much a challenge for me, not from the start, but at certain points it was definitely challenging. And the second thing was Uncommon was my first film, and it was a bigger film, and so seeing and Another Chance, we didn't have some of the luxuries that we had with Uncommon, and so seeing how differently these two movies worked, that was different. That was difficult for me, because on Uncommon, most people were hired, was a hired crew. On this, we have several volunteers who are learning as we go. And it was great, now we got a crew, we can just go make a movie anytime we feel like it. But at the beginning, it was a struggle, for me at least, and just because I had a little bit more experience than other people. The most enjoyable part for me on this film set was the fact that everybody that I had worked with cared about everybody on set. That it really did have a true family experience, and that being that Paulo, the director, and then Micah, the producer, and Riley, and everybody else, the people that were in head positions, really took the time to dig into your life and dig into why you were here, and even after the product is done, that relationships are still kept, because most of the time on film sets, you're looking at that person just as another contact later, as just another person to network with. But on this film set, it really didn't feel like that. It felt like a true family, and that's something that a lot of film sets lack. They lack that family bonding, that relationship that's a friendship rather than just another business partner. The message is that God does have, you can't have another chance with God. I think it's a message that so many people forget, that once they burn a bridge, they can't go back to that bridge. But that's not the case with God. With God, you can always come back to Him. You can always come back to His open arms. He's always waiting for you, just to love on you and just wanting you to come back to Him. I think for me, like when we were making the film, you know, there were certain points where it was challenging and to get through it. But I think the message is what kind of always was in the back of my mind. You know, why are we making this? What do we want the audience to get from this film? And after hearing some people and seeing the movie and seeing the presentation of the gospel through the movie, it's been a blessing, definitely. Because even if it just is a simple message of that you can have another chance, and not just with God, but you can have another chance with anybody, any relationship that you need to go back to, you know, your mother, your father, a best friend that you lost because you guys got into an argument, you have another chance. It's not over once that bridge is burned, supposedly. So when Amaris and I learned that we were both cast in the movie together and that I would be playing a 17-year-old boy in love and that she would be playing a middle-aged mother with 2 children, we were like, oh, this is lovely, great. You know, we did have our challenges behind the scenes because it's not the easiest thing to overcome, that somebody has to act like they're in love with somebody, and there's a kissing scene in it which was actually fake. It was staged, now that you've seen the movie, hopefully. But we had our challenges with it, and we overcame those because, I mean, the movie in whole is, you know, for the glory of God, and is to reach people. And so that's why I was so determined to go through with it, you know. But I mean, we enjoyed working together. I think it was fun. We only had one scene together, I think, but even then, like, we didn't necessarily conversate a lot that day during the scene. It was like we almost stayed in character for the most part. You know, I hung out with Maria a lot, and then she hung out with Peter a lot, and that was it, you know. But other times, I mean, other days that she was on set for her scenes and I was there just chilling, I was fine, and there were days where I had a scene and she was there chilling too, and it was cool. So it was fun, yeah. Yeah, that was a fun day. Yeah, oh man, the empowered employee scene was interesting, to say the least. I wouldn't say it was necessarily my funnest day on set. I got slapped like 10, 20 times. But yeah, that was a really fun day though, in general, because with John and Jody playing off each other and just them adding in random words and random sentences. Oh yeah, so much fun. Took me a little off guard though, because I was all serious and I had my lines memorized, and I was like, let's do this thing. And then I go in there and I got 2 people that are just doing improv the whole time. And I was like, oh, let's stick to the script. Come on, guys. But yeah, it was any scene with John was fun. I mean, even the scenes were like where I had to get in his face and I was angry at him, and the whole group meeting scene. As soon as we left the scene, he'd be like, I'm really not a bad guy. I promise it's okay. I'm really nice in person. Trust me. And so, yeah, that was fun. My favorite scene shooting definitely was the pond scene, though. Even though I liked it a lot because 1, it was challenging, and 2, I knew it was pretty. I knew it was a beautiful scene, and it was a lot riding on that scene. It was very vital to the story. So I really enjoyed that scene, and it turned out beautiful. I mean, we had the horses that we didn't even plan on that to be in the film, and then those showed up and popped up, so that was cool. And yeah, I really enjoyed that scene because that was Joey and Maria's scene. That was their time, you know. The scene that impacted me the most was definitely when they go to the hospital and Maria's mother comes and she hears about the wreck, and you see all that drama. That was the most powerful scene to me. But it was interesting, when we first went to see the movie at the premiere and I was sitting beside my mom, I looked over at her at one point and she's crying at the scene where Joey and Maria are in the field and they're just having a good time together. And I was like, Mom, what's the matter? Why are you crying like this? And she was like, oh, I can really relate to this scene. That just makes me think of me and your dad back when we were pregnant with you. And I was like, oh, wow, that wouldn't have never impacted me the way that it impacted other people.